Hello, my friends. My name is Chuck Benton. I'm your instructor for General Anatomy and Physiology that you're taking this summer. This class is offered online, but it's online live, meaning that we will have some online sessions, live sessions using Blackboard Collaborate, and you are required to attend those sessions. Of course, I understand things happen. You may from time to time have to miss them, but I will be recording them. And I'll talk more about that when we actually meet on Monday, June 21st at 8 a.m. But this class moves fairly quickly, and so you really need to be prepared on day one. And so I want to run through what you need to do prior to our first live session, which will be Monday, June 21st at 8 a.m. So this is the Blackboard site. So when you log into Blackboard site, you will be taken to what's called the announcements page. If you look here on what's called the main menu of Blackboard, this black left panel, you'll see here on the third line or third link is weekly modules start here. So this is where all of your content will be found. So we're going to click here, and you'll find that the first two folders are Preparing for Success in General A&P Part 1 of 2 and Preparing for Success in General A&P Part 2 of 2. Everything that you need to complete prior to your first day of class, I have placed in these folders. I call it Preparing for Success in General A&P because, as I said, there are tasks that you really need to have done before the first day of class so that you are prepared and ready to rumble. I'm going to run through these tasks fairly quickly here. So in this first folder, I'm going to click on that. Very first item is your syllabus. Your syllabus tells you everything that you need to know about your class. Think of it as your course handbook or user's manual. I provide it to you in both a Word doc and a PDF. Some people like to be able to edit and add notes digitally, and so that's why I provide it as a Word doc. But anyway, please read your syllabus thoroughly, write down any questions you have, and bring them to class on the 21st. On day one, you need to have your textbook and your lab manual. For this class, we will be using the textbook rental program, meaning that about $4 of every credit, this is a 4-credit class, so $12 that you're paying for tuition is going toward the renting of your textbook and lab manual. So you don't have to purchase a textbook and lab manual, but you do need to order them from the bookstore. So this is a link that will take you to the bookstore, and you can click textbooks, order textbooks, and it'll show you, well, here you can put in your class number, which is either 10811 or 10367. I'm just going to put in 10811. It really doesn't matter which one you use, but if you click that, then it'll pull up, I've already done this, but it'll pull up the course, and then click View Your Materials, and you'll see that we have a custom lab manual, and again, you rent it for free. Well, actually, you've already paid for it, and then also you can order your textbook as well. Okay, now you cannot write in these books and lab manuals. Okay, that's the only downside of the rental program, but I don't think you need to do that anyway. I think you're fine using these rented materials. You can also, I think if I click textbook right, if you click textbook information, it'll also show you how you can order the textbooks through your student center, through your portal. All this is available at the bookstore. Okay, I'm going to return to Blackboard here. All right, so have your textbook and lab manual on Monday, 21st. I will be using Quizlet in order to for you to practice and learn the lab material. If you don't have a Quizlet account, click on this link here, and it'll take you to the Quizlet class, directly to the Quizlet class. This is free. Do not, unless you really, really want to, do not sign up for the premium subscription or whatever it is for Quizlet. You're fine using the free a free Quizlet account, but sign up for Quizlet. I'll provide you with the code that you'll need to actually be added to the specific Quizlet class. Text message reminders. So this is an online class and everything is submitted online, of course. So it's very easy to forget about a quiz or an exam or an assignment. If you sign up for text message reminders from me, I will send out a text message reminder at 5 o'clock every day something is due. And typically things are due by midnight. So if you have a quiz that closes at midnight at 5 p.m., you'll get a text message from me reminding you that quiz closes at midnight. This is a great resource to help make sure that you don't miss any deadlines. I started using this probably about 10 years ago, and students love it. You don't have to worry about third parties sending you a text message. You don't have to worry about me sending you a huge number of text messages. I only send a text message to remind you of when things are due. Occasionally, students will text me through this service, and of course, I'll respond then to you. But I'm not going to bombard you with a whole bunch of text messages. You're not going to get text messages from anyone else. But I'm not requiring that you sign up for these text messages. But I am giving you a bit of a carrot here in terms of a point of extra credit if you do. Click here for the sign up instructions. It's very simple, 2 steps. If we were meeting face to face on the first day of class, I'd have everyone stand up and introduce yourselves to the rest of the class. And of course, we are completely online, but we are going to be working with one another, learning with one another, and learning from one another. So to facilitate that, I would like for you to take a moment to make a short Flipgrid video introducing yourself to the rest, to your classmates and to me. In this video, I want you to share your name, tell us your major, and if you're transferring, tell us what your intended major is after you transfer. And then tell us something interesting that you've done recently or you plan to do. Instructions are here on how to access the Flipgrid. And I have posted my introduction here as a bit of an example of what's expected. So now let's go to Preparing for Success in General A&P Part 2. So in this Part 2 of your assignments, I'm shedding a little light on best practices for studying the lecture material online. So if we were meeting face to face, I would tell students, read the material in the textbook that I'm going to lecture on before you come to class. You shouldn't be hearing the material for the first time when I'm lecturing on it. You should have read it first, then you should be hearing it for the second time when I lecture on it, and then when you leave and you review your notes, you should review your slides. You should be covering that material for the third time. The same is true with respect to watching the lectures that I provide for you online. Step 1 before you watch any of the online lectures is to read the relevant pages in your textbook. And you don't have to guess which ones they are. I actually list them for you. Step 2 is to read the learning objectives found in the lesson outline. And I'll show you where that is in just a moment. But the whole idea is I provided you with the learning objectives for every screencast. So in other words, for every screencast, I tell you, this is what you should be learning. If you read the learning objectives before you watch the screencast. Number 3, take notes. I've provided you with the slides. You can print them out if you want to and take notes directly on the slides. Or if you don't have a printer or you don't want to waste all that paper or use all that paper, you can always take like some notebook paper and then for each slide put slide 1 and then take notes right on there. And then you can always look at the slides online and refer to your notes on your notebook paper. But do find some kind of way to take notes on the slides, okay, while you watch the screencast. So after you have read the relevant pages in your book and you've read the learning objectives and you figured out how you're going to take notes, then watch the screencast. After you finish watching the screencast, how do you know if you learned or mastered the learning objectives, right? Just because you watched the screencast doesn't mean you understood the material. How do you test yourself? Well, I have provided for every screencast 2 self-tests. Self-test 1, self-test 2. They are very short, usually 3-4 questions, where they basically allow you to test yourself on what you just watched, what you just read about and watched. If you get some of the answers wrong, then you need to go back, look at your slides, go back to the book, figure out, hey, what was I not understanding? Then take the second self-test. If you're still not understanding a concept, write down what you don't understand and you bring it to the live session on Monday or Wednesday or Friday. Now, I want to be clear. The self-tests are not graded. They are scored, but they will not affect your grade. So you will have a percentage. Like if you get them all right, it's 100%. If you only get half of them right, it'll say 50%. And it will appear in Blackboard, but it will not affect your grade. They are scored so that you and I can see if you're having some challenges with particular concepts associated with a particular screencast. Okay, so that's the study plan as you watch the online lectures. Read the relevant textbook pages, read the learning objectives, take notes while you watch the screencast, then complete the self-tests. Now, it's great to sort of learn the study plan, but to really understand it and to master it, you need to do it. So you should complete 2 screencasts before class on Monday. And those screencasts are right down here. They are Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology and Levels of Organization. Now let's put that study plan into action. So before you watch the screencast, what should you do? Read pages 1 through 2 in your book. Read the learning objectives found in the lesson outline. Well, where's the lesson outline? Lesson outline is right here. You'll have a lesson outline for every chapter. I provide it to you as a Word document and also as a PDF. Again, some students like to just print stuff off. Other students like to annotate and add notes online. Regardless, this is what the lesson outline looks like. For every chapter, I list every screencast. I tell you how long each screencast is so you can sort of plan accordingly. And I list the learning objectives. So before you watch that screencast on Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology, you want to read. The learning objectives are define anatomy, define physiology, explain how anatomy and physiology are related. So now that you have gone to your book and read the relevant pages, you've read the learning objectives. Now, if you want to, you can print out the slides. And I have the slides available as 1 per page and 4 per page. Why do I provide you 2 versions? Well, some students know how to print multiple slides per page. Some do not. If you don't know how to print multiple slides per page, I provide 4 slides per page, which you can just print out as so. If you want to save paper and you want to do 6 slides per page or even more, I do not recommend going beyond 6 slides per page, even 4 for my old eyes. The print gets a little small, but I definitely wouldn't go beyond 6 slides per page. Then you want to open up the 1 slide per page PDF, and then then download it. And if you have Adobe Acrobat and you know how to print out multiple slides per page, you can do that. So that's why I provide all the slides in 2 versions. But anyway, print the slides if that's what you want to do, and then now you're ready to watch the screencast. So you click on the link, it will take you to first. Unfortunately, you will have to watch at least a portion of a ad. Then you can skip the ad, and then it'll go directly into the screencast. I introduce the topic, and then I immediately go into the learning objectives. So at the beginning of every screencast, I tell you what you're supposed to learn from the screencast. Right? These are the same learning objectives that are on your lesson outline. So I tell you what you're supposed to learn, and then for the remainder of the screencast, I deliver the material, and then at the end of every screencast, if we can ever get there, at the end of every screencast, I remind you what the learning objectives are. So I tell you what I'm going to tell you, then I tell you, and then I tell you what I told you. Now, after completing the screencast, are you done? No. How do you know you achieved the learning objectives? Well, that's where the self-tests come in. So click on the self-test, and they're not timed, right? And then it'll ask you questions that are testing. These self-tests are pretty short, only 2, right? And then you take them, and it'll tell you if you got the answers right or not. How do I get out of this? It'll tell you if you got the answers right or not, okay? If you missed the questions, or even if you guessed and got them right, if you have to guess, it means you're a little fuzzy on the material. Go back and review to make sure you understand it. Then take the self-test number 2. If you're still not understanding a concept, then you write down questions, bring them to class. Okay? And then you follow the same procedures for levels of organization. Read about levels of organization in your textbook. Read the learning objectives from the lesson outline, right? So that would be, if I can get to it here, levels of organization. And then watch the video. Afterward, do the self-tests. That is best practices for studying and learning the lab material. So that is what you should complete by the first day of class. Okay? First day of class will be Monday, June 21st at 8 a.m. Oh, I have not shown you how you access the online classroom. So let me do that. So from the main menu, go down to where it says Online Classroom and click on that. You'll come to this page where it says Summer 2021 General Anatomy and Physiology Course Room. Then put your name and then click Join Session. If you're not familiar with Blackboard Ultra after you're in, mess around with some of the controls, like make sure you can share your audio, share your video, the raise your hand feature, and then click this little button over here. Now yours will look different from what I'll see, but play around with the different options you have. Just become comfortable. Make sure that that on Monday you're not going to run into any technical difficulties or things like that. Accessing the online classroom. If you run into any problems, zap me an email. I can always jump on a quick virtual meeting with you. So I do believe that's it, my friends. I look forward to seeing everyone on Monday. Thank you and have a wonderful day.